We're dealing with something that they don't even know enough about to educate, let alone emotionally and mentally what it does to a family.
Expect the impact. He got.
Oh, look out! A shot right back and calm.
Oh, that got him, and it got him in the face. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Over the years, CTE has been the worst nightmares of athletes, especially in the NFL and combat sports.
You tired?
Today marks 1 year since a Pace Academy football player suffered a traumatic brain injury after being hit during a game. Jordan Sloan survived the incident but remained hospitalized for months.
When he came off, he actually walked off the field, after the hit, full standing up, and kept pointing to his neck.
4 days after he was knocked out in the ring, a professional boxer from Long Island has died. The Freeport native was knocked unconscious in a match against Charles Conwell in Chicago Saturday. Day died last night, surrounded by family members and close friends. The junior middleweight held several national titles. He was just 27 years old.
According to reports in 2023, 90% of the deceased former NFL players had CTE.
Let's go back to January 2nd. How are you feeling before the game and when you were out there? Normal?
Super normal, feeling great.
Can you tell me what you remember about the game up until the hit?
I remember the things that we were focused on going into the game, just trying to get a win.
You have the hit, you make the tackle. Do you remember standing up after you make that tackle?
You stick your tongue out for me. Stick your tongue out, that's it, and open your mouth wide.
That's something I don't really want to get too deep into in the details of.
We'll wheel him off the back and we'll just do it out there, and then we'll decide whether we'll take him by air.
Videos about CTE can be quite disturbing, but there are lots of questions to be answered. And the most important of them all, why do these people go into this kind of sports?
Thank God it wasn't me that got slapped.
I love it. There's nowhere place I'd rather be than in fighting somebody. I love it. Love it. It's like a sickness. It's my drug.
Is doing what you love at the risk of losing your life actually worth it?
It is way more than just concussions, and we don't know that, and we need to know that.
To make sense of it all, I feel like the NFL is a good place to start. Mike Webster, widely known by many as the greatest center in the NFL history.
They love that hard-hitting.
Mike was a legend and a hero. He may have been the legend and the hero, because here's that blue-collar worker, a center who doesn't get any glory, doesn't catch the touchdown passes, doesn't kick the 52-yard field goal to win a game.
And Mike's favorite games were the ones that were cold and snowy and frigid, and he could get up there with his short sleeves.
I'm ready to smash somebody.
And the dirtier and muddier it got made things better.
To get to that opportunity, you have to give them the chance to develop and grow, and to do it without them being afraid to go in there and fail.
And then to be down to a place of poverty, a place where, your brain can't function to finish a sentence.
No, I'm just trying to find, trauma. Everybody went through trauma as a kid. I'm not saying I was different than that. I'm just saying the things we do to one another, okay? Hell, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just tired and confused right now. That's why I say I can't really, I can't say it the way I want to say it. I could say I could answer this real easy at other times, but right now I'm just tired.
Someone saw my dad and, aren't you Mike Webster? And he said, I used to be. I think that was really how I felt, because he really was. He wasn't the same person.
These weird behaviors led to his wife getting a divorce, and 6 months later, Webster ends up in the autopsy room. The death of Mike Webster as a result of a heart attack caused a lot of tears, grief, and anger.
His body, he had cellulitis, he had his heart, was getting enlarged.
He was super gluing his teeth back into his head, and he actually made that work. I mean, I think Dad's the only person who could actually, have a medical problem like that and decide to fix it with super glue.
But behind the sad loss of an icon led to the revolution and discovery of something darker, something that has been killing many in the NFL for many years. And the pathologist who's on call that day is this guy, Bennett Omalu. Dr. Bennett Omalu, a Nigerian-American physician and forensic neuropathologist.
Omalu parked his car and walked into the office, and he said, "What's going on?" And one of his colleagues said, "It's Mike Webster. He's up in the autopsy room."
He examined tissues from the brain of Mike Webster and 8 other NFL players. They all showed a similar kind of brain damage, previously seen in people with Alzheimer's disease or dementia, as well as in some retired boxers.
He looked worn out. He looked drained. His feet and his legs were definitely, you could just tell, were destroyed.
From this discovery in 2005, Webster became the first former NFL player diagnosed with CTE.
That decision would change the NFL, because if Webster's brain had not been examined, I don't honestly think that we would be where we're at today.
In simple terms, CTE is a disease or a brain condition.
The repeated head hits.
This discovery of CTE by Dr. Omalu was supposed to create concerns about this deadly condition, but it was disregarded by the NFL until 4 years later, another NFL player, Chris Henry, passed away at the age of 26, leaving behind his fiancée and 3 children. Henry was also diagnosed with CTE.
Carson Palmer said he's never been around a receiver who had the jets and the ability to crank it up like Chris Henry did when the ball was in the air. So he'll be missed from a football standpoint. I'm sure he'll be missed a lot more in that locker room.
Some doctors have speculated Webster's ailments to be equivalent to about 25,000 car crashes in over 25 years of playing football.
Punishing, brutal defense that they played.
This is just one of many cases. If you think this is the worst case of CTE you will ever hear, then you're mistaken. CTE continues to kill the NFL till this very day.
So it's a shame, but the good part about it is for our youth, is that we do know a lot more now. And once we know better, we should do better.
They may have a short fuse. They may have violent behaviors, either physically or verbally. They're often depressed and moody.
It is a lonely, horrible feeling when you know it's happening and you can't stop it.
Why do you believe you have CTE?
I get light headaches every now and again, and my anxiety levels is off the chart. Sometimes I can't be in places certain long, so I have to retreat back to my own place because the anxiety makes my heart beat faster.
Like Kim said, I was diagnosed with this lesion on my left temporal hemisphere. He said most likely due to, football.
I mean, I've had times where I've been hit immediately and I've seen stars like in the cartoons.
It was kind of let life drag me along and hopefully somebody would put me out of my misery.
I've been hit where I see 2 of you. So I see you're here and you're here. And I have to try to put you back together.
It's not looked at as a real injury, and you're kind of looked down on if you miss time with a concussion or if you complain about it.
But like as a man and as a friend and a father, you don't want people to see it. But at the same time, like I know I'm not the only one going through this.
He has his core characteristics. So the gentleman-like qualities, the respect for women, but it's definitely altered of the personality.
The thing about CTE is it makes people unlikable and it makes them unlovable. They can be depressed, they can be suicidal. This is a disease that not only destroys people, it destroys their family.
Had he known, he wouldn't have felt so ashamed or alone. No one should have to die in a room by himself.
Until you've had a concussion, you really, can't imagine how it feels. It's like an out-of-body experience.
Just thought to myself after that, is this the route I'm going to go? How many times am I going to do this? For how long? And what are the real consequences? So it triggered a change in thought for me. And subsequently, I did a lot of research and ultimately came to the conclusion that no, it wasn't worth it for me personally.
We can't talk about CTE without leading up to combat sports. Even with how dangerous the MMA looks, out of all combat sports, MMA has 6% of CTE reported cases. And surprisingly, boxing takes the bigger pie of 80%.
So much so, with the gloves being bigger in boxing and all that stuff, that's actually worse because you're going to keep taking too many shots.
78 count as well. You can get knocked down and then get up and go right. You'll be concussed and like, all right, keep on fighting. Whereas in MMA, they'll stop it if you're not defending yourself.
That's probably definitely better.
Wilfred Benitez became a professional boxer at 15, a young prodigy managed by his father, becoming the youngest world champion in boxing history. With a good boxing record of 53 wins and 8 losses, he was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. But since he retired, his health have not remained the same. Mickey Ward, an American boxer widely known for his relentless pressure fighting style.
I was 7 years old when I had my first fight, so I was taking punches since I was 7.
He is currently retired, but still feels the effect of his past.
It's terrible. It's like, it makes you nauseous almost. It's like just a thump in the back of my head, the side. And you just feel like drained all day, you know. And
While CTE can only be found when a person is dead and the brain examined, very rarely is CTE talked about in MMA by the fighters, but only a few.
Since I fought Poirier, I've been punched maybe like 10 times hard in fights. Most of the damage is going to come from practice, getting your body prepared for this kind of warfare. You have to put yourself through it, or else you won't be ready. You can't take the shots.
Trust me, the amount of repeated hits these guys get on their heads, it's only a matter of time till they feel the effects.
That's illegal. His knee was down.
I think maybe he thought he was coming up, and Piotr tried to catch him as he was coming up, but it was 100% illegal.
Yeah.
Like, you tell me a guy who gets knocked out today is going to feel the real repercussions of that knockout in 10 years? He's like, yes, it's very possible that's the case.
Wow.
It's going to take 10 years to show its full effects.
Apart from CTE and brain damage, there is no doubt MMA fighters are known for having one of the most painful injuries in sports that could take years to heal.
Man, you up for an interview? No interview, guys. Come on, let's get him to the doctor.
In the thing in the hospital talking a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, he's busted up, man.
Yeah, no. I saw it firsthand. Nah, he's a gamer, man. There's no doubt about it. He didn't get to where he was by not being a gamer.
No.
But we showed him who's boss. More importantly.
That is correct.
But even more lethal is slap fighting. On the surface, you may think receiving a punch is way more painful than a slap, but that's further from the truth. Slap fighting may be more worse than mixed martial arts.
What do we always hear in combat sports? Whether it's boxing, mixed martial arts, or whatever, it's protect yourself at all times.
Slap fighting, first off, is not fighting. People don't slap in a fight. It's an oxymoron. It is a jumbo shrimp. You cannot have such a thing as a slap fight. Just clear that up.
In slap fighting, there is no defense. You literally are not allowed to protect yourself.
CTE cases are more worse in slap fighting than MMA. In MMA, kicks and punches are targeted at all areas of the body, and the fighters have more time to guide these punches away from their heads, whereas in slap fighting, each opponent have to keep their heads at a static position while they expect a well-targeted slap by the opponent, who takes all his time generating the most force he can produce to make sure you don't remain standing after the slap.
And so what you get is basically just two people trading concussive blows for one another.
Most CTE cases are found in men. Very rarely are they found in female athletes, but regardless of that, CTE in women can be very disheartening. Heather Henderson, an Australian roots footballer and soldier who served as a medic.
Having the opportunity to play for the Western Bulldogs last year, I was lucky enough to be selected number 19 in the draft and got to go have a run with those girls, and it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life, being able to have a run on the MCG with the girls.
Every single game, Heather seems to always wear a helmet. This is because her mother hated watching her get smashed on the field, so she insisted her daughter wears the helmet every single game to protect her head from concoction. But due to shoulder injury, Heather underwent surgery in 2017 and decided to retire from the AFL at 23 years of age. But barely 5 years later, she was found dead at an army barracks in Perth, Australia, and the cause of death, suicide.
If you are able, would you now please rise and join with our coaches, our players and our umpires in observing a moment of silence to remember former Adelaide Crows player Heather Anderson. Heather was a premiership player with the Crows in 2017, described as selfless, courageous and hardworking on the footy field, and a much loved and respected teammate. Today, we remember Heather.
If you go back to your 9-year-old self, do you walk off to the sidelines forever?
No, I don't do that, because football is literally ingrained in me. Even if they would have told me about CTE when I was 9 years old, I would still play.
Talk about the NFL, you're talking about a lot of money.
So no, I don't worry about that. I don't want to live forever anyways. Like 65, 72, I'm out.
That's it? That early?
75 at the max.
Because it's hard to walk away from $2-3 million contracts. That, for a lot of guys, that's their only out. You know, they'll never have a chance to make that kind of money again.
I believe Nelson Mandela says it best. There is no passion to be found playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. When you have the passion to share your gift to the world, with happiness in your heart, no amount of risk can scare you from showcasing your talent to make the world a better place, filled with joy and laughter. There would be no tall buildings, skyscrapers, or airplane pilots if nobody was willing to face their fears of heights. Everything we do each day as humans involves a lot of risk. We are all gonna die someday. We just have to decide what risk is worth dying for.
The NFL, yeah, we're making a lot of money, but the reality is you're taking a chance on your life as well.
Because they can't diagnose CTE while a person is living. They can only diagnose the symptoms that are consistent with it.
Right.
Which is why, one of the reasons why so many NFL players and football players have agreed to donate their brains after death.
Football is football. It's a gladiator sport. Unfortunately, that's part of the game. Just because I don't think the game will change doesn't mean that research shouldn't, be furthered.
Everybody in this room and everybody who watches this video knows how I feel about this shit. And if you don't want to find out who the best in the world is, this is not the place for you. You should be somewhere else. There's plenty of places to fight where they don't give a shit what you do.
A film was made about the death of Mike Webster in full detail, discussing the horrors of CTE. So to better understand and fully grasp what went down and how Dr. Omalu discovered CTE, definitely check it out.
The wrong person to have discovered these years.